Hello there, right here we have a brand new snapshot. This is 21W07A and this is for the Caves and Cliffs update, which will be the new 1.17 version. You can already see some of the new cave generation and we got some new blocks to look at. Also got some new generation with chains, new looks to ores. I will be reviewing all of the new stuff. And remember to join our Twitch stream right after watching this video, link down below, where we will be doing in-detail testing of all the new features with the viewers. And you can find the IP to my server on my Discord. And don't forget to subscribe as well as click the bell so you don't miss out on the discoveries we make. The first new change is this cool new block which is called Grimstone. It can be found at the deepest parts of the new cave generation, so pretty much anywhere under Y level 0. It's also slightly tougher to mine up compared to stone, but it's very similar to blackstone where it can be used as an alternative crafting to using cobblestone. So you can use it for all the different stone tools. You can also use it for furnaces and brewing stands. You can also make polished Grimstone with this. By putting 4, you get 4 out. There's also Grimstone slabs, Grimstone stairs, Grimstone walls. Then there's also the polished variations of stairs, slabs, and walls. You can also put the slabs together and get a chiseled variation. They look really cool. There's also the brick variation, Grimstone brick, the stairs, the slabs, and the walls. And there is a tile variation, which kind of reminds you of the nether brick. There's also stairs, slabs, and walls of those variations. I have to say they did a really good job on the textures. Such a variety, and they'll go very well with a wide range of other blocks. Besides getting these really cool blocks, they also made tweaks to the world generation. First off, they made it so that huge caves are more rare, and they also decrease the chance that caves will be filled up with water. I would say this is a pretty huge cave. I personally kind of like them just because if you don't have caves, then you're just going to have these really big areas where they're just full of blocks and players can't really access them. Now, having more water being removed from the caves is nice too, because it is kind of annoying to have almost like every single cave being full of water. They also changed the looks of the ores. You can see the gold one looks now different. It's more like the nether one. Iron also is more camouflage with the stone in the background. Coal is also more broken up. Redstone is not as defined anymore. Now, diamonds kept their same kind of iconic feel. Let's go ahead and try out the redstone ore for walking on it. Yeah, still lights up a little bit. Definitely make ores a little bit harder to find as they camouflage more with the stone that they're in. Now they did mention that with the new stone being at the bottom of the world, that they will have new textures for ores that generate down there. So it look like that the ore is inside of the new Grimstone. Now besides those blocks, Blackstone also got some minor tweaks for the normal, polished, and also the brick variations. Now, one thing a lot of people ask about in my review of the last snapshot is how are the ores now going to be distributed? And they have finally added that into the caves. It's currently just under testing, but this is the way that the new ores currently generate. Let's look at the very top. We got the iron ore being able to generate up high inside of mountains. And then as you get closer to sea level, it decreases. Same thing that we see in emerald ore. The top of mountains really have a high chance of ores. Then as it gets closer to sea level, it drastically goes down. Coal is more consistent as it goes downwards, but once coal starts going down really deep, like Y level 0, it gets a lot less. You see a similar thing between copper and iron from sea level down to Y level 0, where the greatest concentration of them is right between those two areas. Lapis greatest amounts are right around Y level 0, but the fading if you go up or down. Same thing for gold, but it's a little bit lower. But gold actually goes all the way down to negative 64. Now redstone and diamonds are very similar, where they're thickest at the very bottom of the world, negative 64, and there's less of them as you go upwards and kind of cut off around Y level 10. There's also a picture on the right hand side of what it looked like in 1.16. You can see there's a lot more uniqueness to the 1.17 generation than to the 1.16, where the consistency was the same between different Y levels. I think this makes collecting ores a lot more interesting as you go to different Y levels to get different types. And there isn't like one Y level to get them all. It's also pretty cool to think that at the very tips of mountains, you'll see more emerald ore as well as like iron, and you can even find coal up there. And one thing that I've been requesting for so long, they have finally done it, which is reorganize the redstone tab. Yeah, I've been asking the developers to do this for a long time, so I'm so glad this has been now done. And they did it just the way I wanted, which was all the duplicate stuff like gates, trapdoors, doors, pressure plates, and buttons are at the bottom, where all the unique stuff is at the top, and the redstone dust and all the main redstone components are at the very beginning. This is amazing. I'm so glad they did this. Next big change is that they tweaked the size and portions of diorite, andesite, granite generation throughout the world, as these blocks are pretty prominent and kind of stick out compared to the rest of the cave generation. Now there is an exception, which is diorite, granite, and dirt no longer generate below Y level 0. So that means you still will see pockets of like andesite. Here's one right here. I think that's good because that kind of matches with stone, where the other ones don't really do so much. Now last time they changed it so that there will be these support blocks underneath of any mine shafts that kind of hang out over top of caves. They also changed it so that there will also be above support with these new chain links that come down and support it being attached to these fences right here. So that gives some variation, so you just don't have tons of log pillars like we've seen in the past ones. Now it gives more variation. They also made a change to strongholds. They will mostly be encased in stone now. So I'm guessing there's going to be less exposed pieces for people to find via the caves. So you can see there's just a little piece here we actually found through a cave, but yeah, most of the caves, most of it does seem to be mostly secured. You can see right here, this is kind of obvious, but yeah, this is encasing the stronghold behind it. Here's another example. Here we got a cave right here, and yeah, so I mean, you should be able to notice this kind of weird generation and know that there's a stronghold behind it. You can see a little bit peeking through, but it will make finding strongholds harder just by walking around in a cave that's near the location where the Eye of Ender goes. I'm excited to check out all the new caves and the ore generation that goes with it. Look at this mine shaft over here cutting through the new stone. With the new stone, it's definitely coming in with a new atmosphere of kind of more scary the lower you go down into the world, rather than being so consistent from the top to the bottom. This is probably anticipation for the new Warden mob to come into the game. Now when it comes to the Warden and the deep dark biome which he will be found in, that biome isn't going to be the entire bottom part here below Y level 0. So it's not going to be all one biome. They said that there's also going to be like lush caves down here and dripstone caves. The unique thing about the deep dark, it is one of the biomes that can only be found below Y level 0, which makes it unique in that way. They also fix a few bugs in this snapshot. The first one being that vines now once again randomly generate inside of jungle biome. For the game rule player sleeping percentage, which allows you to set a percentage of players needed to be in a bed before it will change from night to day. This was actually not using the percentages correctly, and now it should. If the game rule player sleeping percentage was set to 0, there was a problem that when the player would click on the bed, it would immediately switch it to daytime and kick the player out of bed without going through the actual sleep cycle, which is fixed in the new snapshot. They also fixed 2 bugs that would crash servers. One of them was one that I reported, which was to do with special enchantments on a bow would cause the server to crash. The other one has to do with custom worlds. Now you can make the world any height you want. So if you would make a world with a height of 2,000 blocks tall, and then you would try to make a bubble column that was that tall, it could also crash the world. There's also another problem to do with the new world heights and beacon beams. They weren't rendering greater than 256 blocks away from the source. So now if you have like a sky base and the beacons are really low, you should be able to still see them up there. Another problem that was resolved was to do with powder buckets being dispensed with dispensers using the new world height. If you try to place it up at the very top of the world, giving one spot for the powder snow to be placed in, if you power it, instead of placing a powder snow, it would just leave it inside of the dispenser. Same thing for the bottom of the world. Henrik also solved the problem to do with the large dripstones only generating as stalagmites below Y level 0. So now we should also see the points coming from the ceiling, just like we see them coming from the floor. They also changed it so that in the new big caves, bedrock will no longer be exposed when the caves generate in. Now I had a few comments saying that this was actually pretty cool, and they actually liked that the bedrock was showing through and made it feel more natural. Another problem that they fixed to do with the caves was that the strongholds would sometimes generate without having any floors, walls, or ceilings. They fixed a minor problem with seagrass sometimes generating and destroying part of the witch hut. A lot of cool things to look into. I'll see you guys on my Twitch stream. If there's anything you want us to test, tell me down in the comments. And don't forget to check out my other playlist about all the new 1.17 features and farms. Don't forget to leave a like on the video as well as share it. I'd like to thank you guys for watching. I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye-bye!